with Renee.
Yo. We wait all week and all day for more. Saturdays with Renee.
All right. What's up, world? Welcome back. Black Liberation Media, episode 65 of Saturdays with Renee. I'm Jared Ball, and of course, that's Renee Johnston. What's up, Renee?
I'm here. I made it.
Yeah, you made it. Big time in Maryland.
The goals of life is to always just get to the place to do the thing when you're supposed to be there.
Yeah. So just off the top, you are in Annapolis. I'm going to join you in a couple hours.
Correct.
And
I'm here for the big campaign launch for Andy Ellis, who has been a multi-time guest out here. So for folks, if you're close to Maryland, in Maryland, close to Annapolis, it actually wasn't too bad of a drive from Jersey. But we'll be here. We'll be here in these streets, in these tree-lined streets.
That's it. First episode of the new year. That's right. Happy New Year, everybody.
Oh, facts. That's right.
I keep forgetting. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. This is
funny.
The thumbnail looks like the worst adult film ever. That's messed up.
You don't miss, man. I've said it multiple times. You don't miss. You don't miss with the
I don't know. Sometimes, some are better than others, but I sometimes have fun with the thumbnails, and sometimes it's an issue of how much time I have to spend with it. And this one just seemed, it seemed appropriate that I did reach out to Brianna and invited her to join us. And I think, did not hear back, but I think she was just recently on with Rania Kalik and Eugene Puryear. So folks want to hear her, maybe what she has had to say. I think they get in. I didn't watch yet, but I think it looked like from the title that they might have discussed some of this interview. Oh. But I didn't get a chance to see it. Many ways there's a lot of jokes we could probably evolve from that point. I mean, there a lot of it maybe much like the adult film world, a lot of what was seen in that video was repetitive, uninteresting, anticlimactic. It was, like Black said, like Joe said, is the worst. It was.
Yeah, it really was. It really
and
was.
Brianna did as well as I think anyone. I mean, I'm triggered and have PTSD from my experiences with Dyson. I think she did very well. I think she's good. I don't know that we always end up in the same place politically, but I think Brianna does a good job with folks that she doesn't agree with. And at least in this instance was afforded some level of respect enough that, she was able to do her thing, but she did well as could be done.
I will say this, and I have always appreciated her as an interviewer, because I feel like she does a very good job of setting her questions up and really paying attention to what people are saying so she can address what they're saying in that moment. And she checks him a few times, and I don't particularly, I have like a ton of notes, but I don't particularly want to re-listen to anything that the man has to say. So I don't know how many clips you want to play. I don't want to play too many clips because I just once was enough. The second time was too much when I had to verify my timestamps. Um,
Well,
but
we should just be clear.
she checks
Yeah,
him a
sorry.
few times. No, she checks him a few times in a way that I was like, that's what needs to happen in these conversations that almost never happens. Like there's almost never a in the moment check on like what you're saying right now don't make no sense and you need to clarify because this is illogical. So
Yeah. So just so folks understand, initially what we were going to do today is just engage the audience and do a Q&A, comments and questions. I don't know, whatever we were going to call it. Once I saw the interview and did watch the interview, I did sort of request or uh by some level of imposition, that we talk a bit about it. So, but I'm fine with us not getting into to playing clips. I also have some notes, and we can encourage folks if they want to just, I'll make sure if I haven't put it in there already that the link is in the show description and folks can. And then if you do have comments, questions, critiques, queries, conundrums, catechisms, cacophony, calumny, consternation, contemplation, for us, feel free to start putting your notes together and we can wrap.
yeah,
Uh,
put it in the comments.
put it in the comments. Yeah, what man? I gotta find that drop again. I gotta bring that back.
You do have to bring it back. You do.
Um, and I've lost track of Pierre. He left that comedy hype. I kind of stopped watching they reorganize themselves, and I've kind of not been watching. But I need to. So Cynthia Rosette, what interview? So recently, this past week, Michael Eric Dyson was on with Brianna Joy Gray, and uh, I think my reflex is to just blame Geechee for why I even know the thing existed, but because I don't remember, but I don't actually remember how we got there. But I did end up watching it, and I don't even know what made me watch it. And I'm not playing anything, just to show people what we're talking about. And it and I watched the whole thing and took notes and all of that. But so right, and in that conversation, there were a number of things that I did think, all personal stuff aside, all PTSD aside, I did think that especially because of the way Brianna pushed back, that there were some things that overlap with what we talk about here that we could make use of as we sort of invite people to think and continue to think differently in 2025. Um, and that actually, again, everything from third parties to why people were, why Black people in particular are constantly returning back to the Democratic Party, what we do and don't get for it, so on and so on. There was actually, and then seeing how she challenges him, and then because I did go back and I shared with Renee also with links to an interview I did in 2015 with Glenn Ford around Michael Eric Dyson and his defense of Hillary Clinton. And then the sort of classic Democracy Now! Debate between Ford and Dyson around Obama. If you watch all of these things, what you end up, if you can re-suffer all of these things, you see a pattern, not only with Dyson, but within the argumentation around why Black people should stay with the Democratic Party. And you can see, especially now, given the benefit of hindsight, how empty the claims really are. So it was great to see, Brianna be able to withstand the verbal whirlwind, as I used to call it, that Dyson will put you in, and challenge him in a way that I thought he looked as bad as I've seen him since Glenn Ford tore him up on Democracy Now. But so yeah, that's the quick
Right. And
overview.
so for me, and we may have to suffer through a few clips because there's some things that like I feel like people need to hear it coming from
Mhm.
him, so they can't be like, oh, that's just a restatement of what he said. Um, and I think for me, the larger issue and the larger purpose in me going down this trail with you, because it really was fucking painful, not gonna lie.
Mm.
I mean, it was painful. And I think it was triply painful because in watching the old interviews, listening to him literally like just reframe his same storyline, right? So like so my hashtag today is same song, right? And it's because like
Mm-mm.
like it's
Oh,
just around the
man, the
world the
same
same song.
song.
Exact like
Mm.
every time he debated or had a conversation or whatever you want to call these things about the political landscape in that moment with regard to the presidential candidacy and the campaigns that were running at that time by the Democratic Party, his argument is literally the same thing. It's that we basically have to have faith in what the potential is for the Democratic Party to like do the right thing. Like that's literally like his it's just it's mind-boggling that he's actually able to keep telling that story and
And
think it's
Lisan,
feasible.
yeah, no, really. And Lisan, Dyson also does this thing with Brianna where he's extra complimentary towards her and she's like, all right, back to the point. That happened a lot. And I
Yes.
couldn't help, but I want the one thing she didn't bring up that I wanted her to. I wanted her in one of because he does this repeatedly throughout the interview, and complimenting her intellect and her this and her that, and you could see her kind of wanting to roll her eyes, maybe even in fact rolling her eyes. But I really wanted her to say something like, "Now you're not going to send me a text like you sent old Congresswoman, are you, Dr. Dyson? Like, let's stay focused on the point here."
Oof.
Let's not
Oof.
run afoul. Like that was the one thing I was hoping she might bring up. Um, you know, just to get him to stop doing that, if for no other reason. Stop doing that. Stop with
But
this
see,
almost
I think
flirtatious, fake complimentary nonsense
I
and
mean,
stick to the point.
and I'm only vaguely aware of that whole situation. And to be honest, I don't like the man, so I don't pay him any real attention in like any significant way. Um, and so I am unfamiliar with his like his mannerisms, right? I'm unfamiliar with how he does things. I feel like people who do that, just in general, when people start out by being overly complimentary, it's because they want to be able to frame themselves in a way that says like, but look, it wasn't really that I was like challenging and pushing back, and they want to be able to ride this fence of being aligned with the thing that is the right thing to be aligned with, but then at the same time counter it with your nonsense, right? So while he's telling her how brilliant she is, da 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 da, he follows it immediately with but but right, like it's foolishness, and people do that because they want to be able to be on both sides of a line when you can't be on both sides of the line, like just period, you can't be on both sides of the line. And I watched the panel that you did down at Howard. How was it being in the Mecca, by the way? I hate when people refer to Howard University.
Mhm.
Anyway, and you said you cannot be both on the side of the slave and the slave master, and it was
Oh,
you were requoting
Baraka, yeah, yeah.
Baraka, and that is what he's doing, right? He compliments so that he can portray himself as being on the quote unquote left, and you know understanding like the real issues that are happening with working people, but then at the same time he's totally aligned with all the imperialist, colonialist, materialist, capitalist entities that are problematic, and it's absurd. it is just absurd, the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's why again I appreciate Brianna and I am reminded, especially with that comment that I just pulled up from Lisa about Dyson and Carr doing the same thing. Carr was in the room when I had that when Glenn and I had that unfortunately flawed, failed attempt at debating Dyson and Jason Johnson, and I lost my temper. And my friend, one of my homeboys who always tries to make me feel better about how bad that thing went. He's always like, but at least you told Dyson to shut up. And so that was the one, because I couldn't handle all of Dyson's devices in that moment, and it was so frustrating that I was just like, man, I forgot exactly what I said, but I did tell him to shut up at one point, which maybe, but it's ineffective. It's ineffective because from the perspective of the audience, I was looking bad, and Glenn wasn't feeling well that day, and it just was a we had a difficult moderator. It was not the moment, but I was like, my bad.
But the problem with people like Dyson really is because he understands the material value in being the person that he is, right? So he understands that that's where his bread is buttered, and so he is only gonna do but like so much, that's gonna get him in. He's not trying to lose his bag, so he's only gonna do but so much. So
no, now a mutual friend of ours, Renee, and a mutual colleague of mine and Dyson's once told he says, I don't remember this correctly, so I will start with that caveat that the person I'm referencing here says that I'm not remembering it exactly the right way. But years ago in this indirect back and forth I was having through this friend with Dyson, the way I heard what Dyson was telling this friend of ours was that I'm just trying to save Jared from having a marginalized, irrelevant Black nationalist career.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I remember it. I'm told I'm wrong on that, because the in the context of the whole argument, it was around the point you're making. And it's like, and what always gets me the most upset, more than just regular disagreements, really disagreements aren't the issue. It's that when I see people doing something that they know they are doing so they can curry favor with the enemy. So it's like, to your point, like Dyson, what you're doing, the way you're trying to rebrand and reframe certain politics and certain arguments. You're no dummy. That's the point. Like, what you're talking about. You know what you're doing. And yet you're playing this game in this little hustle. And that's where I've always been in my most susceptible, to making mistakes moments. Like, it's like, I can't. It's like that Italian dude I was boxing one time in the Navy, and he was so nice and fast. I couldn't, he was just jabbing me to pieces, and I just grabbed him and threw him against the lockers because I was like, I can't do it. I was like, damn it. I can't just do this with you. So I got to do something else. So that's the way I felt intellectually with Dyson. Like, you're playing too much. So now we got.
Yeah. I could see it.
All right.
I could see it.
Yeah, that's why, again, I appreciate Brianna's talent skills here.
Where should we start? Do you have a starting spot?
There's a part where I noted here between it totals roughly 8 minutes, which I know might be too much to watch. All right, so let me just quickly, I'll just do a couple things. A lot of what Dyson does, from my views here, is, again, it's just the standard attack against third party development, left of Democratic Party arguments, and this attempt to make that argument about the mature, practical political positions we should take to save Black people from the most horrific ravages of blah 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 blah. She does well at challenging him and even people indirectly like Noam Chomsky and Angela Davis around their in other ways good analyses, but that end up encouraging support for the Democratic Party. She in fact says at one point, I wish Chomsky would stop coming, just stay quiet every 4 years. Like do all your work every other day, but when come election time, just stop. Like stop coming around every 4 years to tell us to, But then around the 43rd minute, they start talking specifically about Bernie Sanders. And this is where I started to feel my temperament starting to go to because Brianna's, of course, reminding him I was his chief of communications or whatever her role was with the campaign.
Right.
And Dyson starts trying to do that thing of, you're so smart and talented and brilliant and this, that, and the third. And I wanted to support Bernie. And then I was like, hold up. And I said at the 42nd minute, I wrote, my note says here that he lied, claiming he supported Bernie Sanders. But then she comes back after that moment and checks him by asking him specifically.
Yep. Did you actually
support him?
Right.
And he's like, no, well, and that's when there's a reference to Glenn Ford, a quick passing reference where he actually calls Glenn my man. And then I got really upset because I knew Glenn, especially at that time. And I know intimately what Glenn thought of Michael Eric Dyson. And I saw how they interacted in person in the green room at the Real News when there was no cameras on. There was no interaction, in fact. Dyson sat quietly as a church mouse in that room, in that ante room, offset. Not a word.
Interesting. Well, actually, no, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Actually.
I was
because
like,
in the end, he's got nothing. And that's really the problem. Like,
but you got endless words on the camera and on mics and in front of audiences, but privately,
but he's playing to an audience publicly, right?
That's my point.
He's got his bag, and he's doing his preacher thing, and
that was that. So I noted that, and that's when I pulled up the clips. So I was like, if you're gonna talk about Glenn, you watch what happened when you engaged with Glenn.
Right.
Watch what Glenn said to me about Dyson in 2015 in that other clip. I'll put all these in the show description. Folks can watch them. But then I noted from in between 1 hour and a 12th minute in this 8-minute period, where they start to really talk about, did you support Bernie? And I said, he said, did I support Hillary? He asks, his entire anti-West, and she shows his energy. What was my note here? I'll have to check that in a second.
So, the thing that I found,
that was the
thing
part
that I found
that
really,
I might want us to watch. Yeah, sorry.
The thing I found very amusing about the Hillary Clinton conversation is that he really tried his best to like pretend as if, first of all, he was like, 2016, was that Clinton? Like, get the fuck, like, please stop. Because there is no way on anybody's earth that he doesn't know off the top of his head that 2016 is the Hillary Clinton Trump camp. Like, there's no shot. So even that little bit of like toying around and pretending like he had to be clear on who was running in 2016 was bullshit, right? But I love, and this is where you got to give Brianna her credit. She clipped in him going hard for Hillary Clinton.
Exactly.
Going hard.
That's that's what I meant in my notes. That's what I was referring to. That she shows him doing just that. That's what I was saying in my notes, because he was saying, he was trying to act like he was like, did I support Hillary? She was like, all right.
Right.
And then in the
And
editing
then I
room, they were
think
like, roll this clip.
right. And I think he probably realized that he wasn't going to be able to like play that off too tough. So when she asked, so he was like, well, in the end, I supported Hillary, right? Like as if he like got there by accident, on happenstance when all was said and done. But he actually, like to this day, right? To this day, he stands by his support of Hillary for the reason that he supported her at that time in 2016. And I mean, that to me, I mean, maybe do you want to just play it? What he says about why?
Yeah, I got it queued up to just before she plays that clip where she's
all right,
making.
yeah. Let's just play it, because I feel like yeah.
All right.
And when the Democratic Party killed that, the only other option remaining was right populism. And you said that you liked Bernie Sanders, you supported Bernie Sanders, but I'm curious, did you actually support him in the 2016 primary? Did you actually support and endorse him and speak out in favor of him in the context of the 2020 primary?
No, because there are a lot of people whose ideas I dig, but who I was committed to, and who I wanted to see win. But I, in terms of 2016, when I made the ultimate decision, I think that was that Hillary? I'm trying to think. 2016.
Yes.
Like he didn't remember,
as he did, right? As Bernie Sanders ultimately did. I made that decision for the same reason Bernie Sanders made that decision.
No, but we're talking about the primary.
No. In the primary, no, I was not a Bernie Sanders delegate or supporter at that particular point.
So
I think that Hillary Clinton is not only the smartest person, the most prepared person, but the person who has given the most credible empirical analysis of race in the last 20 years by a major American politician. I'll stand by it.
Wow.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, I'm rolling with HRC to the end, because I think she gives a serious indication of what's happening in this country racially.
Why not?
I was nobody. I was nobody at that point.
So can I need to just for them playing that clip.
Now listen.
I would at least acknowledge that was both playing that clip. Because that's why, and I don't know if you wanted to play more of his response, but that's why just
play it a little, because I want people to understand that he still rides with this. It's 2024.
Right.
Then listen to what he's still saying.
Look, I wrote a piece. I think that's when I wrote a piece on Hillary Clinton, right? So I was not technically, with wearing my journalist hat, doing an analysis of who, what, and where. I'm not using that as an excuse to say. I would say straight up, I supported Hillary. I wanted Hillary to win.
Why?
The primaries? Because she offered the best opportunity for us to prevail in a culture where a fascist, a demagogue,
so Michael Eric Dyson, Dr. Dyson,
racist was going to deploy public policy and politics that would undermine everything you and I are talking about. Because look, if we don't have any space to exist in a culture where we can have rigorous, vigorous conversation about what the political outcome is of our rival viewpoints, if you ain't got no possibility of doing that, it's all whistling Dixie in the face of the Titanic going down.
But Dr. Dyson, this is what is so painful for us on the left. Every poll in 2016 that assessed electability demonstrated that Bernie Sanders was infinitely more electable over Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton. Every poll showed that.
Now listen, that's called.
So
she demolishes him with that point there.
Right. But also that in 2024, right, that you can actually repeat that horse shit about Hillary Clinton, and your reason for why you are regurgitating your horse shit from 2016 is because it was so important to understand the dangers of our ability to be able to speak freely. And you're not understanding that none of that actually changed, right? Like we didn't go through a 4-year period where like he everybody who was against everything that was happening in government at the time got like the world that everybody was afraid of, right? That quote unquote fascism that was coming in 2016 and that we all needed to be like on guard for, and all, like literally that was not life, right? And so in part, this is why I am the way I am now, right? In recognizing, yeah, can stuff get bad? Absolutely, right? Can we definitely like say like we don't really know how crazy things can get because nobody really knows how crazy things can get. That said, we also can't presume that things wouldn't have gotten crazy had the Democrats won. And we also can't presume that things are 100% going to be this horrific place. Like, we just don't know. We have to wait and ride it out and see what happens over the next 3 to 4 years, right? But that right now, he has the audacity to still be talking about how bad things were going to be. And that's why he had, like, you don't even have the wherewithal to at least change your story a little bit, right? So that it's aligned with the realities of what happened after 2016. Like, you don't even have enough like honesty, Mr. Preacher Man, right? To just be real about the facts. You supported Hillary Clinton because that's where your bag was, right? And we thought things were going to be really bad. Yeah, shit was wild. You know, there was some things, but in the end, like, you know, it's no different because in the end they are all working for the same people and none of those people are us.
You know, the only other thing that I thought that they could have done in that interview, and then it seemed like he was the one pressing for time, was to play some of the clips with Glenn Ford, or to remind audiences that also not only was Dyson defending HRC, which is ridiculous that he would do that, but actually it's not ridiculous. And I hate that I know this, that I'm this much in the weeds with it. But if you go back and read even Dyson's testimony that Jeff Chang republishes in his book on hip hop history, and read Dyson's testimony to Congress defending rap music's autonomy and right to, in my way of saying it, right to sell itself to the corporate world. He's been making almost the same arguments across genres, so to speak, for a long time. That is, presenting himself as an authentic representative of the streets and the people by citing rap lyrics, talking about rappers, doing books about rappers, and then doing things like HRC, coming up with phrasing like that, spitting lyrics the way he does when he tried to do it with her. Start running down and this is the way we look at the way the world, blah, 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 blah. He starts doing that, you know, and then all to justify ultimately a capitalist, black capitalist chasing of the bag. So the only other I say all that to say the only other thing that I thought that they could have done to bring into that interview would be to remind folks that not only did he defend Hillary and write aggressively for Hillary, but he would come back later and use his bully pulpit to attack Cornel West as more or less a fake radical black scholar who didn't deserve the notoriety that he currently was holding, and from what I heard, required them to sit down with a mutual preacher friend at Howard University. Speaking of, to settle their quarrel. But the point is, for all that we might find flaws with or disagreement with Cornel West, the idea that he would become your target when you get paid by the New Republic. Forgot what exorbitant fee he was probably being paid for per word, to defend Hillary by attacking the left, by attacking people like Cornel West, to set yourself up, which is, again, and I'll stop here, always been my issue with Dyson, as the premier spokesperson for black left politics. and in quite the Highlander fashion, having to cut yourself off and distinguish yourself from anybody else who might be a challenge to that throne. So, I mean,
Right.
it was
And
whack.
it
And by the
was.
way, 25th
No, go
minute,
ahead. Go ahead.
the same thing with Kamala by that you pointed out a second ago about this whole thing of speculating about the what would be better.
That's where I was about to go. See, we didn't even need to plan, because it's so. And I think this from a lot of the stuff that he said, it was just like, good, why is Jared making me sit through this? But right. But a lot of it, I think it's important to take note of, because this is about to be what we live through for the next 3.5 years. And I don't know in the end if the DNC is going to attempt to rerun Kamala Harris in 2020. What did that be? 2028. It's possible. There's a lot of guesses about how this all could play out. But the DNC is its own devil, as we all know. But what I find extremely dangerous is the reimagining of who Kamala Harris is and what her potential was to be different than what she actually is, right? And for me, that, and something else that he does that's very creative about this whole like faith-based politics thing that I also want to get into. But he has a way of speaking about Kamala Harris as if she has earned any drop of reason for someone to assume that she was going to do something differently than what she had already done, what she was saying she was going to do, and what she was adamantly pushing for policy-wise. And that to me is very, very dangerous, because I feel like he is the person who, as things continue, as they're likely to continue in the occupied territories of Palestine, right? That he is the person who's going to say, see, look how bad things are. Look how bad things are. They could have been better if Kamala had won. Right. And it will be a total reimagining of the realities of what she said she was going to do. Right. And Breonna did a good job of pushing back and saying, but wait a minute, wait, she was very clear that she is not supporting an arms embargo. And he just kept responding with this, but we don't know what she was actually going to do. Actually, we know what she was actually going to do, because she told us very clearly what she was going to do. She was going to continue to support Israel because they have the right to defend themselves, and we're going to make sure that we give them all the leverage and the ability to do so. She was very, very clear. And it is egregious to, after the fact, sit in a public space and lie and say, well, we don't know what she was going to do. Motherfucker, yes, you do. You know exactly what, because she told you what she was going to do. She told you very, very clearly what she was going to do.
Now, so Breonna does push him in that point and gets him to admit, hey, I'm just speculating. I really don't know what she, I can't, I have no evidence that she would reverse course and this, that, and the third. And Breonna kept saying, but her on the record statements are no change here. She's not stopping the genocide. This is it. And then so the one good thing about that for me was that if anything, if there is a silver lining, that people could at least see Dyson admitting, you're right, I don't have any evidence for what I'm saying. I'm just saying it anyway. And Breonna
she did not check him on something that he blatantly lied about.
Oh, word? Oh, what? Oh, yes. I missed that then. What's that?
So at about the 1822 mark, which is when they're having this conversation about Harris and Netanyahu, he says it then and he says it later that she did not meet with Netanyahu. And that
That's
was a critical, that was a critical
right.
thing that people should look to as
That's
a
right.
reason to believe that she would be doing things differently.
You're right.
And he says it twice, and it is false, because she did not go to that thing that the Congress did with Netanyahu
In Congress, but she met with him privately.
But she met
That's
with him
right.
privately, and it was
I heard
made
that, yeah.
it was publicly known and stated that she met with him privately.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's that Brianna didn't know that she met with him privately, or I'm not 100% sure like how she missed on that pushback. But it's a dangerous thing to miss on, because he utilizes that lie in an effort to promote this idea that she would have done things. There's a possibility she was going to do things differently because she didn't meet with him, but she did meet with him. So your whole argument based on that is false.
No, they're right. And you're right. And I heard that happen twice, and you're right. She doesn't check him at all. And you're right. I don't know. I can't imagine she doesn't know. I just have to think that as has happened to me in an interview and a back and forth, you're trying to stay focused. You're just that you don't catch everything, or maybe I don't know. But you're right to call that's yeah. And he did run it twice. He ran it back.
If he didn't run it back, it wouldn't. And she didn't check it the second time either. And if he wasn't utilizing it as a means to support his argument about why he believed there was reason to assume that things could have been different, I might be less irritated that she didn't check him on it.
Yeah.
But because he utilized it for that purpose and it was false, that's a bad, it's a bad look in my opinion.
Yeah. And nobody's perfect. That's right. Nobody's perfect.
Correct.
And you know, that's why we invited Brianna to join us today. So we could help. We could all be helped in our imperfect. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah,
but no, but
that to come on here.
You never know. You never know. But no, yeah, whatever. It's all good. It's all good as long as they keep doing stuff publicly.
Right. That's true.
Like people constantly say, you know, why don't you have so and so or invite so and so? And I'm like, I will, but I don't need them to. As long as they keep talking publicly, we can have the indirect conversation or whatever it is. You know, like we don't have to. It's all good. My whole thing is it's all good. I love it, and I do want to see what is discussed on this episode with Eugene, or he didn't know and forgot himself.
We know look, Rod always got to come to jump to the defense of the.
You could defend Dyson if you want. I mean, if you want to be Team Dyson, enjoy yourself. I mean, there's at this point, the transcripts of that congressional thing on hip hop that I was referring to, that was 1992, if I'm not mistaken. So we're talking about, what is this? We're talking about, you know, a good 30-year track record of him being wrong. So, you know what I mean? If that's if that's what you want. Now, to be fair, he was right once. The one thing that Dyson has written that I always appreciated that he wrote years ago, he wrote a book challenging Bill Cosby's public condemnation of Black youth. And I always have to, if I'm being fair, I got to be fair there. Dyson wrote this I forgot the title of it, and I read at least sections of it when it came out, and I was like, I got to give him some credit, because he was like, look, you know, Cosby, you can't keep blaming Black youth for the problems Black youth face. So, and he had some, and he brought out some of the statistics and all this other kind of stuff, and I vote, you know, but outside of that, there's a 30-year track record for Rod.
He's awful, man. He really he's awful. So he goes into, and you mentioned the whole Chomsky, Angela Davis, and he goes into he's really big on those two being the voices of the left that are unquestionably voices of the left. And therefore, if they're willing to go along with the Democratic Party, I don't even know why y'all are having this conversation, because Chomsky and Angela Davis are on board. So, whatever. It's so infuriating. And so, go ahead.
Well, to Creative Experiment's question, she does go as hard at Chomsky.
And she did in 2020. She checked him hard about this. She does.
And she checked him again in this interview too. So
she did. She did. And so, you have these, again, like this regurgitating of, pointing to people who are going along with the story that you think is the best story to go along with, because it is paying your bills, which, look, everybody got to pay their bills. I get it. And so you're going to, elevate these people. They're just people, right? Like Angela Davis, having her history and, even, some of that has been questioned in some ways as to like what her real role was in all of these things. And Chomsky, and to elevate these people to a point in which you are actually willing to say that because these two people supported the Democratic Party, we all should just fall in line. That is the wildest, like, I was like, word? Like that, that's what we're doing. We're like, we're nominating these two people as the people that everybody got to fall in line behind. Like, how did that happen exactly? And they get into it multiple times about this. What bothers me, in addition to like this picking of these two people and saying like they're the ones, is his continual focus on like the moral obligations, right? And I know that a part of the reason that he does it is because he's a preacher, right? And so, he has to make sure that he really plays up this idea of like morality. But I don't understand how anybody can be a person who preaches about morality, who recognizes that genocide is happening, but then can still tell you to ignore genocide. Like, how does that work exactly? Like,
because he speculates that Kamala would have gotten elected and reversed everything she said and done and stopped the genocide. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it's just
know how
wild.
people do that.
It's wild. So so this moral obligation thing that he does is also aligned with his like these practical politics that he talks about, right? He talks about, you have to fight in a way that's going to create space, right? He uses the term actually like create space in talking about the Democratic Party, who literally during their convention refused to allow a Palestinian person space to speak. I mean, literally. Right.
And Brianna did remind him that it's the Democratic Party that is the leader of blocking space for left politics and party development and all.
And he denied that wholeheartedly. Like he really went hard. Yeah. She pointed out like how ridiculous they were in preventing people from being able to actually like move forward and create actual means to fight the battles that need to be fought. And he looked at her like she had 3 heads. And he went into a whole thing about how crazy he thought it was that she actually thought that the Democratic Party had enough power to suppress people and to suppress the needs of the majority of people. And I was like, brother, where do you live? I don't understand where you live at. Like, where do you live at? Where you like this is your purview? And then I thought to myself, this ain't this man's purview. Like he almost made me drop the N-word. That's how irritated I was listening to him, because I was like, you just know you full of shit and you just saying it anyway, because there is no way that you can actually go. I mean, you know what? Can we play the tape real quick? Because I need people.
Which part?
So
Yeah, sure.
The timestamp is 48:30, and she has just talked to him about the role that the Democrats play in suppressing voices, and his response is yeah.
All right.
Telling me that the candidates who were there, given the percentages you talk about, both in left and right, Democrats and Republicans, that they supported a particular kind of politic, that it's being because of the leveraging of the authority of those elites that they are suppressing the ability of these candidates to emerge. Are you saying that they've got that kind of power to suppress what the majority of the people in either party believe? I mean, I think the
yes, Dr. Dyson.
wait a minute, the election we just saw, right, with Donald Trump triumphing, right, suggests that, so you could say that, well, the majority of people in the Republican Party feel the way Donald Trump did. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true or not, versus that the majority of people don't feel in the Democratic Party the way people at the top may have felt. I'm saying that do they have the kind of power? I want to see an analysis that they have the kind of power to suppress the possibility of a mass, the Heron folk democracy, the masses of people out here feeling a particular way, that they're being contained because of Nancy Pelosi and Jim Clyburn.
100%.
You can stop it.
This is where
But the face, like his like incredulity, like he can't even imagine. Like you actually said this out. I was like, what in the hell? Like what?
Yeah, this is a good point by Josh too, that the MFDP was destroyed by the Democrats. So that's again like this whole thing about the Democratic Party being anything other than what Glenn Ford used to say about a place for radical movements to die is ridiculous. And this thing about creating space. And then, by the way, so I think it's interesting, again, I'll give her the credit for this, that given his Dyson's insistence that Chomsky is the banner carrier for the left, she comes back later, Brianna, and says to Dyson, you're the one manufacturing consent.
Right.
By trying to get us to come back to the Democrats. I was like, that was slick. That was
says,
slick. I don't even know that he caught that.
I don't know, but she also told him he was trying to bring people back into a burning house.
Yeah.
She said that to him too. And she's right.
and in response to him referencing Dr. King. So like that's that. So she's good. So like, and I don't know if what this person exactly means. Flomo, Bree missed on that one, but Bree did a great job. Y'all need to work that out. Her voice is just as important as y'all's. I respect you both. There is no, as far as I'm aware, Renee, there's no animosity here.
Oh no, none. All my animosity is for Dyson. I have no animosity for.
I got no issues. I was just acknowledging that we're not always on the same political page, and we weren't able to get her on the show. But there was no like joke or whatever like behind that. It was just it is what it is, and that's why I'm saying I'm not mad. I'm like I'm gonna see what she got to say about it, and also just because I am. Some of this is just petty and personal. I want to see what she has to say about this on Eugene and Ranya's show.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to watch it.
I'm gonna. I'm not requesting it of you or of us.
No,
but I'm gonna watch it. I just want to see what they say.
But it'll be interesting because I also feel like. One of the things that she says at the beginning is that the reason she invited him is because she tries for her show not to be an echo chamber, which, I will give her credit, right? Like she tries to bring people on who are going to have like a varied, point of view than hers that she feels like she can have in, a relatively reasonable conversation with, or a good debate with, right? Or either or. And I guess for me, like I am not interested in talking to someone like Dyson, right? Like people like Dyson work my fucking last nerve. Like they work my nerves because what you're saying is nonsense. There is no way that he does not know that what he is saying is absolute trash. There's no way he doesn't know, but he's willing to say it anyway, right? And for me, I'm happy to, after the fact, kind of look at the stuff he upchucked and laugh about it and say like this is, but it's more for the effort of preparing people for what they are going to be getting soon, right? Because these are all these arguments that he's making right now, pre, the peaceful transition that they're planning for. These are all things that are going to circle back to us over the next like 2 years or 3 or 4 years, in the event that they decide to run this broad again. Like, this is going to be the same stories. And so, it's something. It's something. It really is something. But there is something, and this is the last thing about. Do you have anything else about this?
No. I think that was it for me.
I have one more.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
And it's really, for me, I think one of the most telling things that proves to me that he knows that what he's saying is nonsensical and that he's just talking. So at 1 hour and 31 minutes and 8 seconds, feel free to just start at 1:31. He's talking about like the possibilities. and he expresses himself in this manner in discussing why we have to think about like the possibilities. But then he goes into the third party, and I want us to really take note of what he's saying here, because I'm going to come back to point out like what I took from it, but I want everybody to listen to it first.
Medical diagnosis, not a political one. So, but here's my point. Can I make this larger point too?
Sure.
I'm saying that at the end of the day, Miss Brianna Gray wants to win, because the whole point is, if we don't win, we don't have the possibility of representing our viewpoints tied to political resources, economic resources, and governmental support that allows the policies that best enable poor and working class people to survive and thrive. And at that level, I'm saying, if we're all trying to make an argument about when and where we enter, how we get in, what we do with the resources we have, I think that Bernie Sanders is not merely capitulating, or Chomsky or Angela Davis. They've made a calculation about, or AOC for that matter, they've made a calculation about the costs to maintaining an investment in a possibility of what might be versus what's here on the ground and what we have available to us to make a difference in the lives of poor people. And that calculation to them is morally compelling, right? They could have an intellectual fidelity to ideals and principles that would be worked out in abstraction versus what they think on the ground, concrete manifestations of policies that have the best chance to win. And I think that's a moral response that can be defensible.
And how's that going?
Compared to what?
You can pause.
What did my man say in 1969?
Hold up.
Make it real compared to what? How's it going? I can say versus
Wait a minute.
What a third party.
That was egregious there too.
Right.
Now, my jazz heads, check me on this. It's been a while since I've been rocking with PFW, the mighty WPFW, the most black radical jazz station in history. But Les McCann, talking about compared to what, was a critique of the false claims being attributed to a black bourgeoisie uplift post-civil rights. It was not meant as a way to defend a more liberal political position. So that, just hearing that again, because he comes back there and say, compared to what, like my man, like Les McCann. I know the song, Gotta Make It Real, compared to what? And that, so I didn't like that he did that either. I didn't like that he did that either.
Wait. So now you're going to move up. So now he's just went into this whole thing about the political possibilities and the morals and right? He went through this whole thing, to which I gotta say her answer, how is that going? I was like, tell me how it's going, right? But move up just a little bit to 133.25, because this is him now talking about why considering third parties is not reasonable. Her faces, by the way, in response when he's talking, she gets me. I'm like, I'm here for it, Bria. That's what got her ass fired.
That's what got her ass fired, because she can't stop making faces.
Face ain't no better than mine.
Yeah. Now that's true. Yeah, holla at me, Brianna, if you want to sit down for some poker. I'll take all your money. Because she got no poker face. I'll take all her money. But, all right, here we go. Although I don't either, so we'd probably just both be broke. But here we go.
The Democratic Party. Let's take it as true. What is the data? What's the evidence? What's the empirical proof that the third party could do something better than what we see going on? Where's the proof?
Michael Eric Dyson.
Yes, ma'am. She like my mama calling my whole name.
Do you concede?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you like, I can bring up the numbers right now if you would like, but will you trust, for the sake of this argument,
absolutely,
that Medicare for All polls at 88% among Democratic
I'm down
voters?
with it too, right? Yes, of course.
But not that you personally are down with it. I'm asking you if you can see the popularity of the program.
Of course. I'm not talking about, hold it, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about popularity. I'm talking about actual existence of policies that have worked because they've been tested by a political commitment to a particular practice.
Wait a minute.
In an elected place where people have the right to make a choice.
Your argument is that if Democrats ran on Medicare for All, it would be unpopular?
No. This is what I'm saying to you. Let me be more clear. I'm saying to you.
You can pause it now.
First of all, I support that.
She just chews him up. But
ain't no proof that third parties would do any better.
So this is the thing that I want people to understand, right? The very reason he is telling you that you cannot support a third party is the exact reason he is telling you have to support the Democrats. It is literally the same reason. You cannot support the third party because you don't have any proof that it's going to work, that what they run on is going to happen. You don't know. And then he turns around and tells you, but you got to vote for the Democrats because you have to have faith. You got to have faith that they're going to come through in the end and they're going to do all the things that, bruh.
And it's the morally right thing to do, to act on faith.
Right,
and then when she, and I forget the chronology, but at one point she also reminds him of that Princeton study in 2014 that demonstrates that this is an oligopoly, an oligarchy, I mean, and that the constant electability of Democrats, this is my framing of the report, and related to this argument here, the constant electability of Democrats does not translate to the implementation of very popularly desired programs. So the evidence suggests we should break with the Democrats. And he's saying, but there's no evidence that third parties will do any better. But the evidence does say that the Democrats won't do it. And you're looking for evidence of some. So it's I forget which labeled fallacy it is, but there's definitely a fallacy he's committing in that argument there.
She very, very clearly says what we do know without question. And she broke it down very well. So my apologies in advance to Brianna Joy Gray because I'm about to probably murder in my retelling. But her basic line is the Democrats are already being paid without question, with absolute empirical proof and evidence to not take care of people. They are being paid to block all of the things that are required in order for people to live and improve their material conditions. And therefore, we know without question that they are not going to change anything to benefit regular working people because they are being paid to not change anything in the efforts to benefit regular working people. This is not in question. So I would much prefer to put my stock in the people who are at least right now not being paid, right? So we're gonna go with the people who are not getting paid to prevent regular working people from getting the basic things that they need. That's my plan. And he was like, oh, his answer to that was, oh, well, that's a political faith commitment that you're asking people for. Well, motherfucker, you just asked people for one for the Democratic Party. He made me cut. He got me cussing. You know how mad my mother's gonna be after this show? He got me cussing with his bullshit. Because it's bullshit.
Yep. And that's why I had to tell him to shut up. I was like, I can't take it anymore. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, nah, it's she again, Brianna. I don't claim to watch religiously, but the few times I've watched her in some sort of disagreeable exchange, she does very well, and I can see why people would be worried about that. But yeah, I just
it's bullshit.
And
so
and as somebody pointed out, because there was some question about, do we acknowledge that she does interview people to the left? She has interviewed Dr. CBS, Claudia De La Cruz. She even had Kamau on, and where I don't remember if his favorite white man came up in that discussion, and if she had to check Chomsky in that one. But she so it's whatever.
And listen, I don't give her any money. I used to give her money. I don't give her any money because she also, in her efforts to spread the wealth, she also brings people on that I'm not a fan of, and I don't particularly want to listen to. So I don't give money for that reason. It's not, she's getting plenty, so she don't need my little $5, right? Like, she's good. But
although I'm not mad at this. Did she blow you off in 2004, brother?
Wait, who's he? Who? He
Crip Hop Nation.
He blew me off at who's he?
Leroy, my man Leroy. We've interviewed Leroy a number of times on this platform and over the years. Activist, author, and I just can't. So I'm. It must have been a misunderstanding, but I'm not mad at that though. If I felt I had been blown off 20, an event 20 years ago, I would absolutely hold that grudge. I'd be like, 30 years ago, you didn't speak.
People, I guess you were late. She was invited. Yeah. She was invited. So
she's actually been invited to this particular show a couple of times. Right. Look, I don't know.
Yeah, Josh, I don't.
You won't do another Vosh debate. You debated this dude?
No, that's who that was actually the show when I ended my giving money to her when she had Vosh on. That was actually the thing. That was the thing. And I was like, I can't. Like, I'm not mad at her. She's got to do what she's got to do. She doesn't let everybody on. She does have her limits. But I was like, she don't need my $5, and so I'm good.
I know he's got a big audience, but I don't actually know. I don't know this dude's work very well, so I don't know his politics.
It's messy. It's very messy.
But yeah. Oh, I am the grudge holder. That's facts. That's facts.
You are.
I am. I'm bad with it too. I'm bad. So that's why I'm not mad at Leroy. Like straight up. Like, if I felt begrudged at an event in 2004, I'd be like, every time her name came up, I'd be like, yeah, she did me dirty. No, I'm just playing. But I'm sure it was just, you never know. Could have been, sometimes people, it might have just been a bad moment. Could, maybe she just, anyway.
Maybe. I don't know. But that was it.
Yikes. Okay.
Yeah, it's messy. But those were all my notes. I didn't want to I didn't want to show too many clips, honestly. Like I was so frustrated watching that, and then going backwards and watching him defend Hillary Clinton and that she's the best chance we have to fight fascism because, she understands like race politics, which blew my mind that he actually like went there. And then going back to 2012 to listen to him defend Obama and to pretend as if like he wasn't dropping bombs on people, and he was like, everything about Dyson's argument is like rinse and repeat over every political campaign that has been held in the past.
All of them.
It's wild.
It's the collective. Everyone who defends supporting the lesser of evil they end up making the exact same argument every single time.
Right.
And it never does well when up against a competent response, and we just saw that again. So
right.
Did you clip this? Ndugu says that she didn't have a good answer for third parties. I don't remember that.
I mean, we didn't really play too much of what Brianna said, but I actually disagree. I think her argument is what I said, is that, at best, you understand that the third parties are not being paid by these corporations. And so, at least you have that, right? Like, at least you have that. And she was also very clear that it's very difficult to run a third party campaign in this country because of the way the system is set up to be preventative, right? Like it's set up intentionally to block. And the money that they are able to raise ends up getting sucked into fighting the Democrats to staying on the ballot in multiple places. And then people complain because they accept the legal help for attorneys who at one point represented Republicans, because you're trying to get the help from people who will do something, right? Like I just it's a hard I can't swear for anybody, right? I don't know Brianna Joy Gray personally, right? Like I don't have any connection to her. When I was part of the People's Party and that messiness was happening, I did reach out to her directly to try and like see if I could get some feedback from her as far as like what happened when the entire group of us as volunteers of Black people were like booted out of the organization overnight. She responded, but then there was no like follow-up. Like she responded to acknowledge that she got the information that I sent to her, but that was kind of as far as it went. It's just I live with this conundrum, and we talk about it consistently all the time, that when you encounter a system that is set up specifically to prevent you from being able to change anything, right? What do you do? Like, how do you manage this? How do we manage this situation about a system that is set up to be just like this, where you can't really fight it, right? Like, what do? Do you walk away and say, fuck it, I'm not going to be bothered. This is all a waste of time. Nothing can change. Nothing can happen. That's your right to do. But then you still end up stuck with the same people, because the people who are participating are completely comfortable with the system being what it is. So how do you navigate that? I haven't come up with a good way to navigate it yet. I really have not. That said, I'm in Annapolis right now because I'm going to MC the campaign launch for Andy Ellis, who's going to be running for governor of Maryland. I don't live in Maryland, but I fully support Andy's campaign and all that he wants to do, and all that I think he's going to be able to at least push and get into the conversation, especially if he can get this petition to push through where he's going to be able to debate and be on a public stage. And I think, you know, there's some levels of electoral politics where if there is someone who is doing the things that at the least you would like to see happen, and you're willing to put yourself out there and be a part of that process, then do that, right? Like, well, I don't have an answer, but that's not everybody's answer, right? Like some people are like, I can't be bothered, I can't participate, and that's okay too.
One of the, you know, to one of the points you just made, and one of the things I really appreciated about again, seeing the clips that Brianna played, and even revisiting the ones that I'll put in the chat here, is not only are we reminded that Dyson and these arguments are tired and old, but we're reminded that he's again misrepresenting in this interview his relationship and what I think is the true relationship of all those who agree with him to electoral politics, and more importantly, radical movements. Because you see him in that clip, for instance, on Bill Maher, as you see him in the debate with Glenn Ford, in the article about which Glenn is talking with me, in the other interview that Dyson wrote. He's not arguing. That is, Dyson is not arguing for, as he tried to play off with Brianna, space for radical politics to emerge and new movements to this, that, and the third, and more liberation. That's not the argument. As you saw in particular with the Bill Maher clip, he's saying, no, these are the revolutionary pathways. The Hillary Clintons, the Barack Obamas, the Joe Bidens, the Kamala Harrises. And so it's not them doing what they claim they're doing, of making a practical, mature argument in service of a broader revolutionary movement. They're defending the Democratic Party against more radical in favor of and against engaging in more radical political efforts and movements. So it's, again, I appreciate the reveal, even if I'm not as naive as I used to be, that reveal will have the impact on audiences that I would have hoped it would have. But at least I know around here, folks, when they see stuff like that, are clear that it's a performance. So, you know,
Yeah.
And that's why we're looking forward and to seeing you and others out later on Lawyers Mall in Annapolis, in beautiful, although it's supposed to snow later, I think.
I know. I was contemplating, because I know you're coming down, so I was like, maybe I could drag Jared to get something to eat. I don't have to get back on the road. I don't want to mess around.
I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I would love the opportunity. Like, you know, I'll throw you an energy bar real quick as we're standing out in it. Be like, that's all right, that's our meal. Like,
yeah, like, I was like, the weather's gonna change. I need to make sure I'm off this road and in my house when all this madness starts.
Global warming is taking a break today, apparently, man. And we about to get real, what used to be regular Northeast weather. Or even mid-Atlantic weather here.
Speaking of which,
yeah,
Martin Luther King Day. Are you working? Are you free? Do you
what day?
It's a holiday? It's a Monday. It's the 20th.
It's a Monday, the 20th. I'm not at work, so I'll be doing the show.
Can we get Jared up to Jersey? Can we get Jared up to Jersey? I already got Ntume.
Oh,
he's gonna come to Jersey and do a thing for me
on that Monday.
On that Monday, he's doing a lot. He's gonna be on Washington Square Park. Apparently,
he's doing an event. He's doing some sort of something.
Mm-hmm. So we are in the process. Shout out TJ. I don't know if he's watching yet. So we're in the process of trying to plan a full day teaching on policing. And one of the panels is going to be media and propaganda. And yes, it is the same day as the inauguration. And there's a whole thing happening in DC, which I have no intentions of going down to, just because it's going to be too
That'd
much
be a
for
good
me.
reason to get out of the DC area. If
So for
anything.
me, I really like, TJ and I talked about it, and we really like the idea of like doing something where it was actual, like an opportunity to teach and have conversation about different things. And so we're going to try and do it on MLK Day. We think we have a space at Rutgers University in Newark. We're just waiting for confirmation. And I hit Tume up like, we're going to do a thing on the media and propaganda. You want to come to Newark? And he said, yes. And since you're not working, maybe we can get you up.
Why not? I don't see why not. Now, it's funny you said that, because I just got interviewed. This brother, what is this? I gotta find out this, because he's probably got. I know he's got a YouTube channel, but it's funny you said that, because the point of the interview was to review, and because he's doing a video, I'm assuming for King Day, that's going to center the Boondocks episode from the cartoon series on MLK. So I just rewatched that episode where MLK is not killed by the assassin's bullet, but put into John Lewis. Exactly. That's who did the interview. So, and I'm about to look it up now. I'm not even sure. I haven't even seen his channel, so I'm sure. I don't know how big it is or whatever. And I haven't seen much of his work. But he's like a pretty cool dude, and the discussion was a good one. So I have to see what he does with it. But the point being, I just watched. Okay, good. He's getting cosign. All right, right on. Okay, good. So I rewatched the episode, and it was always my least favorite of that series, which I was already a fan of, in comparison to the comic strip, blah blah blah. And the long story short, the point I'm getting at is that it's a good reminder of the levels of propaganda thrown at Dr. King, and how that is represented through popular reference and media like this show. So anyway, yeah, I'm primed to get back into to some discussion of Dr. King, and then any chance to hang out with you and him too, May. And this sounds like a family thing. I might have to get the girls involved with this one. Let's go.
So I'll keep you posted. I gotta follow up with TJ and make sure everything we have.
No, Flo, that's not irony. Not bad, Renee. Imperial inauguration on MLK Day is not irony. It would be. It's a paradox. It's a contradiction. It's a as I understand the meaning of irony, for it to be ironic, they would have to have intentionally set the inauguration to be on that day as a comedic diss or reference to King.
Right.
Now, if they did that,
it's falling on the same day it always falls. It just so happens that it's the holiday this year. So, right. I believe.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
He's so funny. Raul, listen, man. Listen. Come up.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'll hit you. I'll hit you up and let you know what the story is.
Yeah, what's up, Raul? Absolutely. That would be dope.
So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'll keep you posted.
It's not rain on your wedding day. I'll tell you, one day I'm gonna run into Miss Morissette. We're gonna have a chat. I want to be like, what kind of psyop were you working on with that song? Oh man, that is
all right, so we still have.
Is this going to be on Patreon?
Is it, Jared? It could be. I don't know. It could be. Jared got the buttons. So.
We'll see.
It could be. We can record it and then you can post it to the Patreon, and then our Patreon folks can see it. I hesitate to do things like this live because I don't know who all is going to attend.
It's a lot of moving parts. Yeah.
It's a lot of moving parts. And one of the panels is going to be the connection of policing here and policing in Palestine. And so I'm always trying to be very like aware of who we bring into those spaces, and if making them public is a good idea. So that's a conversation. Once I know exactly what we're doing, it is a conversation I'm happy to engage with whoever is participating. Rumor is Daruba might be in the state, so we're gonna see. That's
This
the
is
rumor.
a lot is more said on MLK front row popcorn. And what is this Cenk stuff? Do you know anything? Do you watch the Young Turks? I have honestly never watched one single show. So I don't know anything about them other than what I hear.
I have watched back, like not way back, but years ago, when they first started to become a thing. I used to watch. And then when I was like quasi still following them, not so much, not really. And then Cenk released like this video when Biden was running in 2020, like comparing him to like a comfortable like pullover blanket on a sofa. It was very weird. And I was like, oh, I just can't anymore with y'all people. So I just stopped. And then they went completely like crazy. And so, then they started like not liking homeless people, and they're very, very like, it's just odd. Their whole thing is odd. But they have that brother on the channel who does like the reports when people do like crazy racist stuff. And I can't remember his name, but they have like split offs from their channel, like sub shows, you know what I mean? So it's not just the Young Turks on that channel. They've got other shows on it, but there's a brother who does a show where he highlights whenever like crazy race. Yeah, Dr. Rashad. Thank you, Lateef. I knew somebody. The chat is undefeated always. Who does like, this crazy thing happened, watch the tape, so he does that. But it's just straight up like, here's the video. Now his show I do watch, not frequently, but probably more than anything else on that pops up on YouTube, just because he be having like, these stories are like wild. Yeah, it's Undefeated is the name, right? That is the name of the show, Lateef, right? I think. Anywho, that's worth some attention. Other than that, I just can't. I can't with them. You can't. So I don't. So I don't know why. I don't know why people are saying that you have to do a thing.
Yeah, I have no. Yeah, I don't know. I just saw that, and I don't. But I've never watched. I know they have a big audience, and a lot of people talk about them, so I know they exist. I've just never watched. So now I'm with you on this. I like this, Lateef. A beef memoir, the only beef Jared eats. Phrasing, pause, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I like that. A beef's memoir. I
like that title.
Yeah, I like that. And no football today, Lentz. I haven't had a chance to watch any football today. So
I assume you're talking about the world version. The world version.
Yeah, the world version. I'm almost not at all. I almost don't watch any sports anymore. It's crazy.
I saw the best reel of a Jamaican cussing out every person in the United States for calling football soccer, and it was hysterical. And as I think about it now, I should have sent it to you. Because he was so mad. The question was like, what do Americans do that irritates you? And he went on a beef about calling football soccer.
It could get kind of bad in some of those spaces. Folks they don't, and all that latent, they don't really like Americans thing comes out, so.
Is this a question for me? For Jared?
How do you watch all these shows, read books, and organize in between life and? Well, I don't organize, so she must be talking to you. And yeah, for me, it's watching videos at 1.5 times speed and reading mostly sections of books and a lot of articles. That's my quick answer. I don't know what you would have to say to that, Renee. But that
So
would
you
be
know
my
what
quick
I've
answer.
taken to, honestly, I listen to audiobooks when I can. And it
Mhm.
allows me to get through the book while doing something else. So that really helps. Like probably the last 4 or 5 books that I've read were audiobooks that I listened to while typing and cleaning and driving the child to and from school. And so that part
Mhm.
helps. Otherwise, it's really like I don't sleep, which is bad. Like I go to bed late and I
Yeah, I
wake up
got bad
early,
sleep
which is
patterns too.
bad. It's a
Yeah.
bad sleep
Yeah.
pattern.
Yeah.
But if I fall down a rabbit hole of trying to figure something out, sometimes I won't stop until I feel like at least a little bit satisfied that I have some sense of like what it is that I'm trying to understand, and then I can shut it down. But it'll keep me up. So I've learned like I just go until I feel comfortable and then I can stop. Because if I try to stop before I get to a reasonable place in my mind that makes me feel like things are okay, then that's what I do.
Yippers
Yipper with the
trolling
joke,
you.
with the jokes, always with the jokes. I actually read Jared's book, like in front of me. Read Jared's book.
Yipper
Actually,
is
I read it on
hilarious.
my iPad, and then I got the signed copy, which I have not opened because I don't want to. I try to keep my signed books like in places
Oh
so they don't get
damn,
jacked
that's
up.
messed up. I'm messed up because I just was using it again for my winter session course, and Ori has a nice signed copy of Tip of the Spear for me, and I'm just by your standards just disrespecting it because this is my main copy, and I'm like I'm all it's all my markings and notes in it. I'm like, oh, that's messed up. Now I feel guilty.
You
Uh,
shouldn't feel guilty. It's just because I already read it, so I didn't need to read it again.
okay.
I had already, by the time you gave me the signed copy, I had already read it, so I didn't need to open it. And if I ever meet Ori, he will be signing the book that has all the markings and the highlights and the notes in it. So, but I don't know if I'll ever be in Ori's space to get him to sign it. So,
Oh, I'm sure it'll happen. It almost happened on my birthday, so I'm sure it'll happen.
yeah, I missed that.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
Are you reading Sky Full of Elephants yet?
I have not. You know what? I don't even have it yet. Let me order the Kindle now. I forgot about it.
See, I'm
So
glad.
I have
There I
not.
go. Yeah, because I
All right.
want
Damn, we're supposed to start that, right?
right.
All right,
That's
here we
on the
go. I'm
list.
getting
So
it
we
right
got a
now.
few things on the list. So we have that. Because I do want you to read it because I'm really interested in what you're gonna
Yo.
think about it.
You know what?
Very
I'm like the
interested.
DJs when the Serato came out. I used to be a purist. I'm like, I'm not getting Kindle books. I need a real book.
Right.
And
But now it's
now
all about right. It's too
it's the
easy.
exact opposite. It's too
It's
easy,
too
it's too
easy.
quick. I don't there are benefits to the Kindle version sometimes, like word searches and stuff like that, but
Yep.
yeah, we're being asked for
Yep. This
a
is the
book club
plan.
discussion. Yeah,
This is
okay.
the plan, which is why Jared has to read it. Now,
So I
the
just ordered it.
person
So
the person whose review we watched, like we showed
mhm.
like that little clip, she mentioned the book James, which I also
Mm,
read because I was like, now, in
mm.
my opinion, James and Sky Full of Elephants are two totally different books, and I'm not entirely sure why she.
Is it the same author?
No, no.
Oh,
In
okay.
fact, James is written by the person who wrote Erasure, which is the book that your movie is based
Oh,
on. America. Yes.
right.
Yes.
American Fiction.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
The my downfall.
Mm-hmm.
That movie is my downfall. Okay.
Yep.
All
So,
right.
but James was good. It was good. I was pleasantly surprised. It was also very poetic. It was a very interesting story. I preferred Sky Full of Elephants. But
Hey,
I'm deeply interested in what you're gonna take away from that.
I'm yeah, I'm gonna get to it right away. I forgot about that. Yeah, I definitely want to read it. I just got an email saying that the New Jersey cannabis industry just had a record-setting $1 billion year. Congratulations. Congratulations. And interesting.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah. So there's that.
So
go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, should we invite more questions? Should we wrap early?
We can invite. I mean, I'm here now, so I don't have anywhere to be outside of sitting in this car for the next like 20 minutes. So
well, I got a 30-minute ride to get there. So I think I'll get there just slightly, quote unquote, late. But
yeah, but you're the last. You are the speaker before Andy, so you're good. You're good on time.
Okay, good.
You're not gonna have no issues.
So are there any comments, questions folks have for us, for the show?
Steve is trying to help you. The movie was good. The movie was good. It just had nothing to do with the book, really. It was very dramatized in comparison to the book. Very, very dramatized in comparison to the book. So
yeah, and part of the problem. So the issue that I had with the politics of the film is in part due to the film being good. That's the problem. It's the criticism, and I don't even remember Mtume's criticism being that the film wasn't good.
Right.
In the sense that it wasn't well done. It's the politics of it are insidious.
Right.
And that's the part that
is the part
got me. Like I got. Yeah.
So the quick answer is hell no. But there's a reason for that. And the reason is that I cannot be a person who participates as a politician in the system that currently exists. I don't have it in me. Like I'm good to, join other folks. As everyone knows, I'm registered with the Green Party. I'm very supportive of the PSL. I am not anti-electoral politics. But I just feel like me being me and politics is just not like a good it's not a good combination. And I've been asked. I've been asked actually at multiple times to run in different levels of things, and I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I don't know. Maybe if we break the system. But yeah. This right here. This is the issue right there.
Yeah.
That's it. So, in order to stay out of trouble,
Cornell West has not responded to my last couple of emails all of a sudden. So
sorry.
I don't know.
It's not all of a sudden.
I don't know.
It's because of me. It's because of me. You got maybe you'll have to invite him.
That kid. You know what?
Me.
With all due respect to you, that can't be. First of all, this is still the man that sat down across from John Henry Clark. This is still, I can't remember my other examples, but I can't imagine that little not old Renee would be enough to cause. And it's me. It's just me.
I mean, there's someone else who's never coming back on, and it's definitely in part because of me.
Well, well,
yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. I think we're equal. Look, there's a number of us who, I mean, he. Oh, I love the air. I love the Dyson.
Look at the face.
The Dyson face on there too.
That's great.
But yeah, that's wild. That's wild, though. That's wild. But I think we're equal. Both of us are responsible for some folks not ever coming back around. you know, so
people don't like truth. They don't like truth, and I've accepted that people don't like truth, and I'm okay with it. Look, I'm not always a fan when people tell me truth about stuff, but you know, like, I try to take criticism in as it is, and not like, you know, the choice is when someone criticizes you for something, right? Your choice is to be mad about it or to just take it in and do what you want with that information, right? So often, as we've discussed, people complain about me laughing too much during the show, right? So every few episodes, there's one or two people who get on the comment and they're jawing about me like, you know, I laugh too much and I'm giggling and it's serious and blah, 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 blah. And it annoys me greatly, right? But I recognize that my laughter probably annoys people. So, I mean, I am me. The laughter is not changing. Thank you, Stone Chowder. I appreciate that. Because for me, I laugh when shit is ludicrous, right? Like when stuff is absurd, I laugh because I'm like, I can't even believe I have to say this out loud, right? Like, I can't even believe it. And then someone reminded me, like, you know, sometimes you have the choice of laughing or crying when you're living in this place. And so I laugh. That's what it's going to be.
The only issue that I really have at this point is where the people are where we're often. So I'll say it this way. So I'm often told, you know, personal feelings or even a particular disagreement shouldn't, as a matter of principle, prevent me from hosting someone or engaging someone, but I often feel like the reverse is not applied. So there are those who won't reciprocate with interviews or reviews or discussion or invitation because of something personal. They just don't like me or someone else, or they will and you know, or they don't want to engage a disagreement. And then, but the principle of that we're often told, you know, what about the broader good of the community, the audience you're talking to, the platform you're trying to support and its politics. You should be willing to engage, even, you know. That's the only thing that really, you know, ends up bothering me at this point. I think largely with how stuff goes, because, you know, the whole thing of you know, bonds and friendships and relationships beyond that is you know, it's I don't know, not of interest to me, but it's not as interesting to me as engaging in politics and the so I don't so I often don't understand why there can't be disagreement and we just disagree and continue to build, and then you know,
Right. But there's a way to disagree, right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
and we've had this conversation. Like, you're not about to be on YouTube cussing me out and calling me all kinds of names
no, that's
long,
absolutely,
and then think that I'm going to turn around and
no,
embrace conversation. Like, no, that's not happening.
No.
We also, as you know, I take personal issue with someone that I just feel like at this point he's made his particular stance clear on what he believes to be my lack of how did he put it? Like, he just doesn't think I'm a viable point of resource, right? Like, he made it clear to you that he found me uncompelling. And you know, and for me, people who yammer on about like the importance of, like, you know, Black women and stuff, but then you dismiss Black women privately, like, you can go fuck all the way off, in my opinion. Right? Like,
yeah,
bye. Right?
So I mean, like, there's limits. I mean within certain limits, but that's all I meant by that.
Right. So, you know, but it's gonna be what
that's
it is.
hilarious. When did this happen? That's wow.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, listen, I mean, they get a lot of people on. You know, they've built a relatively big following. I'm gonna keep my opinions on how that happened to myself. Um, but you know, so I'm not shocked to see that. You know, it is, but you know, it is what it is. Mm, we just gonna leave it alone. Ooh, I can't. Jared, this is how we get in trouble. I can't. Shh, shh. Oh, yes, LBS is still on
Yes, of
Black
course.
Liberation Media Mondays at 5, I believe. Right? Mondays.
CBS with LSR
Yes.
is
Yes.
is on Mondays and with Dr. Layla Brown on
Yes.
Monday afternoons, and they're just on their seasonal break, and we'll be back.
Right.
Uh,
No, we're not pulling
wow,
that up.
the
I know
chat.
you just
I'm
thought
not. I'm not.
I'm not going there. Do do do.
But my point would only be that if the claim is, and this is not associated with any of that, but if the claim is I've often heard, well, you know, they're doing good work or the platform is doing good work. And again, I'm not talking about RBN or CBS or any of that. I'm saying just separately. And then, you know, uh um but and in service of the broader project, that the idea that people wouldn't engage just because there's some disagreement, that is, I think, a
A
flaw
different, yeah,
here.
that's a different thing. That's a different thing.
But yeah, really, I feel like, yeah, let
Woo!
me. So look,
Anywho,
I think Warrior Class is also on a break. I'm not actually sure, but I will say this: I looked at the real quick. I just looked at it again. Uh, this John Lewis cat, I'm definitely going to tap in, and I signed up and subscribed, and I see that his highlighted video is Kendrick Lamar and the death of mixtapes. So if anybody is at all interested or curious or may remember, the mixtape for me personally has been very important and an underappreciated and understudied facet of hip hop and communication history, and its relationship to hip hop in particular is a very underappreciated. You know, so I'm definitely now curious to see what he has to say, and is he blaming Kendrick for the death of the mixtape? Because I blame DJ Clue if anybody's interested. But
yeah.
you know, but that's, you know, but I'm definitely, yeah, I'm going to check that out. I'm very interested
This is
in that.
why I still hold true that you were my husband, because you know Chris used to DJ. So yeah, y'all got a whole lot to bond over, to be
No, we
honest.
haven't finished the conversation. I
I
mean,
know.
the conversation that started just around Guru and Gangstar,
Right.
and you know, I have like there's many more conversations that I expect to be having with Mr. Renee. And you know, but yeah, and from, you know, the DJ thing, and I know he's familiar with the tradition of the mixtape and its importance. But so I'm interested to see what John has to say about that.
Cool. We got another. Oh,
Yes.
wait, that's the wrong one. Hold on. This thing, dang, I'll be talking fast.
Yeah, they go
Did you
quick.
see the inaugural Black 50 list?
I did, and I haven't had a chance to really to get into it, but I have it noted for, I believe it's on my list for some future discussion. And I don't know, Renee, if you've seen it and if it's something you would want to get into. But
yeah, I mean, I peeped that there were four Black people on it. Somebody sent me.
Well, no, there
link.
was I thought it was, oh man, the Forbes list of the Black 50.
Oh, is it only Black?
It's,
is it 50 Black people on the Forbes list?
It's and they call it's called Power, Wealth, and Impact, Forbes Black 50. So right, and you see because it's got Robert Smith up there, but I haven't had a chance to go through the whole.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Because
so I just
they also do
this is
like
it
a
here.
general, they do like a general rich people list, Forbes, right?
Yeah, Forbes does the top. They obviously cover the top companies, but then they have the richest people in the billionaires
Right.
list and stuff like
Right.
that. This is
So
just
the billionaires
black,
list only had 4 black people on it. That was the
right.
list that someone sent to me. So
Right. So this is the these like this is so sis here is she's number 2, or I guess it's alphabetical, but she's only 350 million in her work, in her estimated wealth. So they wouldn't be making, but I haven't had a chance to really get into,
I saw the Shark Tank on there, which means he got rich because white people gave him money.
Well, all of them. My assumption would be that's, first of all, no one gets rich without white people investing and buying. So
Is your boy John, what's his face? John, what's his name?
John Hope Bryant. There he is.
There he is.
There he is. Get your credit score to 700 and you could be right there with him. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna come back to this and get more and maybe have some more. We can have some more of this. Pinky Cole is on there.
That's the slutty vegan girl,
vegan,
right?
Yep.
Isn't she just opened a thing in Baltimore? You know that, right?
I thought I saw that. Yeah.
There's a whole thing about her coming back home, and she's opening 2 different spots in Baltimore. One's open and another one's about to open.
Okay, well,
All right, let's do it. I'm down.
And yeah, we can look into this. So these are the people. Kathy Hughes, my girl. That's my oh my goodness. So this is great. LeBron. Oh, so Jay-Z. Oh, this is great. Magic Johnson. Yeah, let's get into this. Let's have some fun. These are the people who are making our lives better and proof that there is no real problem with race, class.
There you go.
We're all good.
No issues at all. We're good. We're rolling.
All right. So listen, please, everybody, like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon, ring the bell so you don't miss anything for when all the shows start to come back after the New Year break. And if you're in Maryland or in the Annapolis area, we'll see you shortly. And anything else, Renee, before we
Nah, that's it. We got to circle back to Entombed because we got a movie
for MLK Day. Oh, and movie reviews. That's right.
Before that, we still need to watch Reimagining Safety. I'm trying to we got to figure out how to do all these like movie screening things on here. And I talked to Claudia, and we still have to do that hair show, which she says she's
hair show.
In fact, she said anytime. She said to let her know this month if any time could work because she's leaving. She's traveling at the end of the month, so she said she might be able to do it this month. So maybe we can try and squeeze that in too.
Yeah, this I'm very flexible over here. So for this month, so let me know.
Cool. All right. Well, I will see you in a little while.
On the way.
People,
all right, everybody.
Take care. Thanks for joining.
Peace. Only if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. And we'll catch you next week right here with more Saturday with Renee.